need to have integration with Shopify, all the data.
But how does AMP get access to your Shopify data? There's so much work ahead, and I'm never going back to a job. Yeah, so that's the app ID. My body's recovering. I was waking up multiple times during the night. Essentially, there's another app that's been acquired. It's all here. It's all public information. Okay, so I basically just hopped off a call with someone called Tristan. He does e-commerce. He's doing YouTube as well. He's been creating content for the last like 600 days, just constantly producing. Super inspiring to look at that. A lot of people do something for 2 weeks. They get that spark of motivation. They do something and then they fail to keep the discipline. Like they're not consistent and therefore they lose. In life, you need consistency. You need discipline to win with anything. The gym, like the people that win are the people that keep going to the gym no matter what they feel. They decided, I'm going to start going to the gym, so they go to the gym. That's just how it is. I'm just trying to meet more cool people that are, building and doing cool shit, and that was definitely one of them. Just waiting for the guys to hop in here, what exactly we're building and how we should be building it and sort of the next steps. And my goal is to build this like incredibly fast. Like I have a template that allows me to ship stupid fast. And I keep like looking at myself, but I shouldn't. I should be looking right there at the camera. All right, let's see. Pour the water in. I did a bit too much water here. Low pasteurized milk, non-homogenized. Drop that shit in. Perfect. So now I got my latte. I got Bink on the call. We're about to do the kickoff. Say hey.
Hey.
He just got like a double flip-flop latte with macchiato sauce. Classic iced latte. And I'm about to put this up. We're waiting on Jordy. I don't know where he is. I think he's sleeping. He's probably sleeping, right?
Well, I guess so.
Yeah. Man, he can't be sleeping at this time.
Well, he's a bit lazy, I guess. He forgot, he thought it was 6, and he was.
Essentially, we already know what that platform is doing. They were just acquired.
We need to have an integration with Shopify, and if you have an integration with Shopify, you have literally all the data.
So we need to see how many people saw the pop-up and how many people didn't actually put, information, like how many people closed it. I'll read up on Shopify integration. But how does AMP get access to your Shopify data? That's what confused. I think during the process of I just hopped off the call with Bink and we were talking about how we can build this platform and what it requires for the MVP to make sure that we can, successfully fulfill the value proposition of the app, right? Essentially, there's another app that's been acquired and that app is now no longer possible to use, but it was like a really, really good app. They were acquired by MailChimp and they were like, hey, Benjo, we have this idea, like build this. Like, I think it's like now's a good timing. A lot of people want to use this thing, but they can't because like they've closed signups and stuff. I was like, bet. I need to start doing things that I genuinely find fun, and I'm never going back to a job. No, never. I've said this to my family, I've said this to my friends, I'm not going back to a job ever. I own the company, or I have profit share, or I'm not working on that at all. Benjamin? So I'm just sitting in my bed right now. I'm trying to sort of reverse engineer how this platform that we're essentially trying to build the same thing and how they do all of their functionality essentially. You can create these campaigns with a very nice graphical interface, even split test by sort of adding changes to it and then deciding that I want to run this variant when certain conditions are met and another variant when another condition is met. That's where it gets really, really powerful because you're able to hyper specifically target your users with certain pop-ups or certain discounts that are for a very, very niche part of your audience. In this case, like say you're running some traffic on TikTok, you can show a pop-up only those people that are coming to your site from TikTok, giving them some sort of unique discount that you advertised on TikTok. The idea is that we're gonna build this exact same sort of software tool because they just got acquired and you can't use it no more. And I'm sure there's a ton of people that are running e-commerce stores that need a tool like this. This might be very cryptic to a lot of you, but this is a golden mine for me. This is the snippet that whenever you add the app to your Shopify store, this is this code that gets loaded. And if you have assumptions on how they do things, like how do they track events or clicks or whatever, you can do search of things in here that will give you the answer. One of my favorite things when trying to build a new company is when I'm doing competitor research and trying to figure out how competitors have built their solutions, the data structures that they have, the scripts that they have that they append to pages. I'm sitting here looking through data structures that I'm pulling from the pages and scripts to make sure that my assumptions of how they have built the platform and how the interface with the data structures actually work. And whether they use certain tools or certain, APIs and whatever, it's all here. It's all public information. All right, so I just woke up. Bro, I gotta get a haircut like crazy. We made a list yesterday, but before we get started on that list, I'm gonna go hit the gym. I usually hit the gym fasted. Ever since I hit the gym fasted, I just feel like I've been pushing more, and then I come back and I eat food. It just works for me. Just like, it might not work for you, but it works for me. How do I look without glasses? I feel like I've been using glasses for so many years now that it's just become normal. It's just become a part of my style, but I think it goes nicer with this because I have like the little stash. I have the little, little goatee or whatever you call it. I have no idea, but dude, I have code to write. Holy shit. All right, so I just made it back home from the gym and I got some groceries. It's time to clean up this place. I don't normally leave it like this. I'm a clean person. I usually like to have my space clean. So the plan today is to investigate Shopify apps and sessions, because the way that this app is going to work is that we're going to be relying on visitors coming to e-commerce stores, and we have to somehow uniquely identify that visitor, even if they've never given you an email, they've never signed up, made a purchase before. How do you sort of uniquely track a user throughout the funnel? Like, how do you know that this user that landed on the page at 10 p.m. made the action to close the pop-up? You sort of need to know what the actions the user is doing and track them along the way so that you can give statistics on the funnel. Do I have to build my own tracking system, or does Shopify give you IDs for the users that come onto your stores? Hopefully I can check everything on this list off, so let's get started. I've never really built much for e-commerce. Last year with my friend Matt, I was running something called Brom, but that was primarily focused on clients that already had custom solutions for their web store. So essentially what we built was our own tracking solution where we would assign a unique identifier to anonymous visitors on the page and track them throughout the process. Like, for example, if they would click a product, we would track that and send it to Brom so that we could process recommendations in session so that they would never have to register or sign up. We would do session-based recommendations essentially. I don't know if Shopify gives us this data, whether we can listen to Shopify events or publish our own custom events, sort of how that whole thing plays together. This is like the foundation. I need to figure out how this thing works before I can kind of make the next steps. I'm gonna eat my breakfast now and then I'll catch you in a bit. All right, so after a long time of trying to figure out how this competitor Amped works, I'm now starting to realize that I had a lot of assumptions in the beginning thinking that Shopify gives you a lot of these things, but they don't. So what Amped has, so this is one of the Amped customers, and they do these like Amped pop-ups like this, right? And if you close it, you'll see that there's a collect endpoint. This collect endpoint right here is sent to events.tryamp.com/collect. And if you go to the payload, you can see a bunch of these like data structures, and I'm pretty sure the VID is visitor ID, SID is the session ID. You can see what the app ID is, YQ77RVK. Does that align with YQ7? Yeah, so that's the app ID. So I'm basically geeking out over trying to reverse engineer how this app works and what they're doing, and I'm getting closer. I'm getting closer by the day. I mean, it's been one day, so essentially there's this concept of app embeds. This is what we need. We basically need to add this overlaid element on top of the page like this. Essentially, that's what they're doing. They've given their users the freedom to change these styles in a no-code like editor, sort of like Webflow and similar tools like that, where you can just change, containers and text and H1 and buttons and whatever. And then whenever the action happens, you define in that dashboard of the SaaS what to do with that data, whether to send it to Klaviyo and then create a dynamic discount. And the reason I'm going a bit more technical now is because I know that some of you from Twitter said that you wanted to hear a bit more of this side, even if it's not, you have no idea what's going on or what I'm talking about, but it makes for a bit more interesting topic now in the beginning, especially looking at exactly what we need to do essentially. So I've been looking at, the payloads of what they're sending. So they have these really cryptic IDs like BID. I figured out this is the element ID that you click. They assign this to each element. So this button right here. So B essentially is button element ID. SID is step ID. When you go into the dashboard of this app, you configure steps. This is essentially the last step before you continue, and then your email is added to Klaviyo. Here's where this makes sense. So that is the ID of the last step, and then we went to this step. So now we know that this visitor right here saw this first step and they made an action, they were shown the first step, but they also went to the second step. But if they don't convert here, you know they never converted. Just looking at it long enough, you start to really realize, and looking at their dashboard and stuff, I need to build my own session tracking essentially. Like I can't rely on Shopify. I just found the code that I made ages ago and I built this for Braum. So I have all the session tracking for extending sessions whenever they click back onto the browser. I think I could probably reuse a lot of that, if not everything. And I'm just dabbling into how Shopify works and what limitations they have. Shopify doesn't natively give you information about customers that are not logged in. So anonymous users that come to your store, we still need to track conversions for them. So, like I built something like that in the past, so I know how to do that. But I've never built it on top of Shopify. Brother, another day, another day to write code. I'm gonna hit the gym, but I feel like my body's recovering. I was waking up multiple times during the night. I'm not sure if that's because I'm excited about what I'm doing now. I'm getting sick or some shit. I have no idea. I can feel like I'm getting a bit sick, but it never actually, develops fully. So I just get back to myself normal, go to the gym, and I'm just gonna walk for like 30 minutes, listen to a podcast or something, and then maybe do like some light exercises with like some super, super light dumbbells just to get. Man, Shopify is driving me crazy. I just streamed for 4 hours straight. We don't even need the data? Is that because it reads it from and I was trying to get an integration to work and I just can't get it to work. Like nothing is working. They have the nicest documentation of like any software that I've seen. Stripe is up there too. The thing is, the more I work with Shopify, the more I realize how bloated the documentation is. Like it visually looks nice. You start using their SDKs, like the tools that they've given you so that you can build faster and ship faster essentially. Like they are not configurable. So they are like, you have to use it in a certain way. And it just didn't work with the way that I'd structure my project. And like I was trying to work around that and I did work around that, and then the integrations are not working. Literally the simplest thing, OAuth, like I want to pull my hair out type shit. I'm laying down now because I was streaming for so long. I'm gonna go back to trying to fix this shit because it's pissing me off. Okay, so after scratching my head against the wall for hours, basically this entire day trying to get a super basic integration with Shopify to work, it is now 1 in the morning and I've managed to make it work. I don't know if you can see this, but it's 1 in the morning for me. So essentially you click this connect Shopify store, it's gonna go back to Shopify and ask me to install the app. And once I click install, you're gonna see down here, that token right there is what we need. So with that token, we can essentially make requests on behalf of the store. Like within the pop-ups, you can decide to, whenever they put in their email, there's a chance to get a discount between 10 and 15%. We can generate that now using this access token. It looks like a super simple string, but that string right there, easiest way to like explain it is like, now we have the key to the door. That essentially lets us open the door and go and like walk in. And now it's time to go to bed. So I'll catch you tomorrow. Good morning, it's 11 a.m. and I woke up. I actually woke up earlier, like 9:30 or something, but I was like, I feel so shattered, I need to sleep. I don't know, like my body is sore, like my throat is a bit like clapped. All I can do is just keep eating healthy food and go to the gym, and the last thing I should be doing on a rest day is like not going to the gym. All right, so I just finished the gym and I took one of those scooters to go to pick up one of these big ass packages because I did my research and learned that with the normal yoga mats that are cheap, they have something called PVC inside of them, which is like a toxic chemical, and you don't want that. So yeah, this one is a cork, natural rubber, freaking expensive, but hopefully it's worth it. Super great day, even if I didn't really get to write much code. One thing I did get to do though is I did get to finish up the Shopify integration, and I still have like an hour and a half left, so I'm gonna do that. Also, another fun thing, I use this as like my night or like my bedside table. To get an actual bedside table, do you know how expensive the real nice ones are? I might as well do the bootleg version for now. The tea is there, so like that's all I kind of need. All right, so I just had breakfast. It's time to take my little ginger shot before I get back to work. Let's get it. This one was light, type shit. For some reason, like sometimes you have these crashes where you know there's so much work ahead and it's difficult to get started because there's so much like today I didn't have like a plan of what I exactly wanted to do. I went live and was working through, or was like, the idea was that I was gonna start working through a lot of you're gonna get like 90% less work done by streaming. So that's one thing I've noticed. Although I really like streaming, but I might just have to I'm just not getting work done, and I just it's at the point where I hate hate doing the UI. I really enjoy certain parts of it, but I haven't designed anything right now. I'm just making up UI as I go along, where that's different to what I normally would do. Jumping in Figma and designing the flows and how it should look, like that's exciting because you're being creative. But right now I just have no sort of like, I'm not following any format or any design or whatever. I'm just doing it off the top of my head. And I think it's 2 a.m. and hopefully tomorrow is a much better day. I'm gonna get up, just walk for like 30 minutes, do some light stretches, and then I'm done. Okay, so I'm just now realizing that my forms are essentially not really working the way that they should. And you can tell there that I'm changing this, and I'm like, of course the UI there works, but then it doesn't send it back. The fact that it's been 3 days, if not 4, if not 5, like I haven't actually started on the core value yet is feels a bit bad. So I'm gonna go to my parents in about an hour, have dinner, and then I'll come back home and maybe put a pair of headphones on and just grind it out with the forms on this PC back here. Essentially what I want done today, I'll actually write this down now with a pen. Forms is just the big thing here. Forms. From the 5th of August, I want to essentially start the tracking. Essentially, I've done all the stuff that I wanted to do. By the way, I was listening to a podcast, the CEO of Airbnb. Here's the integrations page. You have Klaviyo and Shopify, and I show you all the possible configurations that you can make. You can disable the integration. So this is the source. So essentially, you might want to give it the name of the platform. And then you save it, and we're going to send this off to backend on our own system. The Shopify integration is more just once you've connected it, it's done. That's it. So there's going to be another button here that